Hi guys, TinaGale here, and welcome back to Sketch It Out Thursday at the Crafty Maven Getaway. This is the sketch I'm going to work with today, and our beautiful inspiration piece, and I drew inspiration from these popsicles and this watercolor effect and the little splatters that you see off to the right. And the first thing up is I'm going to share some of the supplies that I've pulled out to use. So I've pulled out my Cricut and I've cut this background piece from the artistry cartridge. And I'm showing here on the sketch, it has this big block of paper on the background, but I've decided instead of blocks of paper, I'm going to use this die cut. And I have to apologize for this video. The sound had some issues. I had actually narrated while I went, and of course you can see I'm having to do a voiceover. So sorry for the hands flailing around. This is the photo that I've decided to work with, and my kids are dressed in a kind of a dark navy blue and a white, so I really wanted to pull that out, but yet I want to keep that soft watercolor look from the inspiration piece. So I've pulled out the Pink Paisley Fancy Free collection because it has this watercolor paper, and I've just chosen some different ones to back the flowers and the leaves, and I've pulled out 4 sheets of paper that I know I definitely want to use, but I'm wanting to pull in some of those others, so I'm just kind of showing you there some of the things that I'm thinking of pulling out, but I didn't want to pull them out until I knew that I was going to use them. And then I pulled out some of the embellishments that go with this collection. I have the tags and the ephemera pack, and then some other embellishments from my stash. Now, most of these do not make it onto the layout. I end up going back to my stash and pulling out some other things, so you'll see that changes up quite a bit. But the things to the right, well, actually, most of those don't make it on the layout either, just a couple. So I'm showing you the rest of the supplies here that I'm going to be using for the watercolor background. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, you know I don't do a lot of the messy mixed medias and things like that. But I have gotten into Bible journaling, and I have these great paints here that I've been using, and they had some really pretty colors that worked well with the color scheme that I was trying to go with. So I decided to just try to mix up some different colors and put on the back of this white cardstock to help fill in behind this flower. So I want it to kind of look like a bouquet of flowers. So you know when you look at those, they have these like sprays of green and different filler things. So that's just what I'm trying to achieve on the back of this layout before I put on this die cut. So I've mixed up some of the turquoisey blue, and I'm just doing the packaging technique, so I'm just watering it down, which these paints are really, really wet, or I mean really, really thick. So I had to get them really wet to get them to spread out and do that. And then you might notice, I don't remember if I cut it out, but I got it just a little bit too wet and had to go back. So now I'm trying to make a little bit of a blue-green that matches some of the elements that I have there. So you'll see me pulling some of those embellishments over to see if I can match them. And the funny thing is, I don't even use those embellishments. I use that tag, but I don't use this piece that I'm trying to match the color to. But it still needed to kind of be that color because I wanted it to match the paper that I'm using behind the flowers, even though it only peeks out just a little bit. So I spend just a little bit of time perfectly matching this embellishment that I'm not going to use, and then thinning it down so that I can put it on top. And I'm doing this so that I can have a few different values of color on this background piece. Again, I want it to be that look and that effect of just a spray of colors or a spray of flowers with all of these little background pieces and filler things behind. So now I'm pretty much done. I'm going to dry this really well, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to splatter. So I actually used the paints that I mixed up, and I splattered with those, and I dried it, and then I also pulled out some Heidi Swapp Color Shine. So I have this is the salmon color. So this matches pretty well with the pinks and the kind of the reddish color that's in the Fancy Free collection. So I just wanted a little bit. I didn't want to overdo it, but I just wanted little hints of that pinkish red in there. And then I also pulled out the navy, again to pull out the navy that they're wearing in their clothes, and also the darker blue-green that's in this layout. So again, I finished all that up and I'm going to dry. I've learned my lesson, or at least I'm trying to, not to be too impatient. So I'm just checking my die cut to make sure that I have enough of that background showing around it. Now, while I was letting that dry, I went and I backed this die cut, and I just simply took my scissors and cut around. I kind of drew with a pencil and then cut the shape of the flowers that I wanted to fill up behind. I did use foam tape between the die cut and the back paper so that there would be even more depth and dimension, because if you noticed in that sketch there were several layers of paper, and so I'm really wanting to create that look of depth. So I have all of that backed and then foam tape, some extra foam tape, and popped that onto my background. And now I went ahead and matted my photo, and I used the polka dot paper that was in this collection so that I have a little bit of color around it, but I didn't like any of the darker colors. I wanted to still keep with that white, but I needed just a little bit of color on it so that it didn't totally go into that background. I went ahead and put some foam pieces on my photo to pop it up even more. And I had this tag here. It's kind of like a little library card that had the date on it. And I had it behind this photo, and it stays for quite a while, but then I pull it away because I actually add the date onto that little journaling spot that I've added. So if you look at the sketch actually has two photos and then two tags coming off to the side, and I've changed that up to one photo, and then I went ahead and pulled the tags out. I have this tag I'm going to tuck up underneath the photo, and then the other one that I pulled out from the die cut, and I'm going to add just the date and that it was Mother's Day. This was back in 1998, so I really don't have any memories of the specific day. It's just my kids, and they had gotten me flowers, so I'd snapped a picture of them. So I'm really not going to write too much on this layout. For the title, I kept it in the same spot as on the sketch, but I didn't want to use any color down there. I wanted to keep it white to where you could see it, but it wasn't fighting for competition of the photo. I really want your eye drawn into that photo, and right now it's the darkest thing on the layout, and so if I'd put the title in any kind of dark color, it would have been competing against the photo. So I decided to use these white foam puffy stickers that says Cherish. And then I've added a little bow. Those were some of the things that I pulled out in the beginning. And I kind of struggled. I wanted to do some stuff, and usually I go towards gold, but the Fancy Free has all of the silver embellishments. And so I went to my stash and I had these silver letters, and they had these little circles and hearts as well. So I decided to go ahead and use those into the layout. So you saw I had just pulled one of the circles and put it on the flower just to kind of test it out and kind of see, did I like it, did I not like it, and lived with it for a minute and decided, yeah, I really liked just that little pop of silver. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more of those circles around the other flowers, and then I'm going to grab the hearts off that sheet and scatter around the page as well. And I have this little arrow as well that I added just, again, just for that little pop of silver and to be carrying it throughout the page. The pink, the darker pink red roses that I added, those were from the Bloom collection, or the puffy stickers, and I just wanted a little bit more flowers, but yet different from the die cut, so that's why I added those in. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll have some still shots at the end, and this layout was actually done for part of a series that's on my YouTube channel, Focus on Sketches, where I'm showing how to stretch sketches out more ways than one. So I would love to have you hop over to my YouTube channel and check that out as well. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next month with another Sketch It Out Thursday. Bye!